So, Lance, you're the CEO of Within 3, and I attended your talk. But first of all, I just wanted to know, how have you found the event thus far this year?
Oh, I think it's been amazing. I think being in a large environment like this with so many people that you haven't seen in so long is tremendous. I think the knowledge sharing has really been powerful. So I'm thrilled.
So I've sort of had a look at your company a bit, obviously, and it describes itself as a complete insights management solution for life science. So can you sort of expand on that for me?
Sure. So what we mean by insights management is the process of understanding who in your disease community matters and why, physicians, patients, specialists, payers, how to engage with all of those people to gather information back for your strategy, and then how to organize and share that within the organization. So we view that entire process as insights management. Companies who excel at it really have an amazing competitive advantage over companies who don't. We try to help companies become operationally excellent at insights management.
And you mentioned in your talk that there are some competing scientific narratives and unmet needs in the background of everything you're sort of working to ameliorate and create excellence from. So do you have any examples that you can share with me on that?
Sure. So depending on where you are in the drug development life cycle, for instance, you may have a new drug that's being launched, and you have developed, say, on the medical side, why the mechanism of action is better than the current standard of care. But in the background, your competitors may be either launching something at the same time, maybe they have data coming out shortly, and they have a different set of narratives that they're out in the marketplace saying, no, but their therapy has these characteristics, which is better than my mechanism of action example. And so it's really a battle for the knowledge and the understanding of the disease community that you're operating in. And so what our platform does is try to help you understand what is that current state, what are those competing narratives, how is that disseminating across the network of physicians, let's say, in different regions of the world, so that I can do a much, much better job at making sure that my science is being understood and being properly utilized for patients versus maybe some of the noise that exists in the marketplace generally.
So you mentioned the current narrative and the proper use of what you do, and you also mentioned in your talk about this meshing, this sort of almost a trinity of real-world experience, real-world voice, but also real-world science. So I was just wondering if you could, again, expand upon that for me.
Yeah, one of the things that is so interesting about, especially on the drug side of life sciences companies, is the product is virtual. It's just science. Whether the pill is red or blue or green has no bearing on whether or not someone's going to ultimately utilize that medicine. And so your ability to understand how your science, which is really the opinion of the people who ultimately are prescribing that therapy to the right patient, do they understand the science and why it matters so they can make the right choices? And to do that, you need to understand what is important about the science, who do I need to interact with for them to understand that, how are they interacting with other people, and then how am I able to measure over time, is it working, is it not working, or is the sentiment going up, is it going down? And all of that is really, really important, because what you're competing for ultimately is mind share within that disease community. And technologies like ours can be very, very effective at helping companies outcompete other organizations or other therapies that are using more traditional, older styles of interactions.
You did mention a sort of slight reservation about utilizing AI as a buzzword and not really understanding how it can help sort of advance in the pharma industry. So I just want to know if you had further thoughts to expand upon that and how it can be avoided in not understanding the how of AI.
Sure. So I remember not too long ago, mobile was the thing, and everyone needed to have mobile and mobile apps. And kind of was mobile in search of a problem. I feel like AI right now as a buzzword is at that point. And really what AI does, it's a tool for making some part of your process work better, categorize information for you better, help you sift through large volumes of information. There's specific ways that AI can help. And so I feel like we're much better looking at, I'm running these sorts of business processes, I'm conducting advisory boards. AI should help make my advisory boards go better, and if so, how? that should be the question that we're asking. The application of AI to specific problems and solving those problems better and deeper than you ever could before. I have hundreds and hundreds of inputs coming in from my field force. How can I understand in real time what that means, what's happening in my marketplace, without having to sift through and analyze all those hundreds and hundreds of notes, or hire a firm to do it and take weeks and weeks to produce a report? AI can do that in real time. That's an examples of applied AI versus, I don't think someone should say, I need to have an AI strategy. I think they should say, I need to have an insight strategy. And in order to have an insight strategy, I need AI powering some of the parts of that process.
And on the topic of sort of future planning and strategizing, I noticed that your company blog runs a trend tracker. So are there any trends coming up for October that you already have a notion of?
I would have to actually check because I don't write that blog.
Okay.
But trends, what we're seeing generally speaking is a couple. One, we're seeing just overall the idea of looking at insights as currency. Kind of one of the more important things that an organization needs to gather is that information from the field to make better, faster decisions. Recognition that that needs to be happening quickly, concisely, in real time is a trend so organizations can make better decisions. That's one. And then two, I think there are certain venues where organizations have been very fragmented. Medical congresses come as an example, where organizations are looking at some of these places where all your customers are there, all your competitors are there, information is happening, data is being presented. It's all very fragmented and chaotic to try to manage that back to the organization, and saying, how can we optimize some of those more chaotic pieces? And I think the third trend I would say that we're definitely seeing is with the move towards precision medicine, more organizations have more precise targets for the HCPs or the patients or the specialists that matter, more individualized science that they're trying to communicate, smaller populations but higher need to kind of capture those populations in their thinking, as opposed to more the sweeping blockbuster types of drugs in the past. And with that sort of precision focus, you see it in oncology, obviously it's in rare disease. You have, again, this problem of how do I get extremely focused in what I'm doing, as opposed to a one-size-fits-all approach that maybe worked in years past, especially on the technology side.
And lastly, I loved the shark fin analogy. So it sort of got me thinking, is there within the sector a shark fin which hides a shark? And is there within the sector a shark fin that hides a goldfish? Who are the shark and the goldfish?
I think the fin that hides the shark, I would say, is complacence. I think in today's day and age, you almost have a duty to be exploring what's available that can make your company better, more effective, versus holding on completely to what was I doing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Because companies that aren't consistently evaluating new ways of doing things will be the ones that fall behind. So I think complacence, I would say, is the biggest shark. And on the goldfish side, I think the goldfish is as new technologies start out, they can be very complicated, hard to implement, hard to kind of know where they fit. After a year or two, they find their niche, and now you're talking about how can we improve medical congresses, for example. We're no longer talking about the details of the AI underneath that medical congress. That's where I think that a lot of this technology has reached, and you're seeing example after example of the application of technologies, faster to implement, easier to train on. You can get value much more quickly. It's not a year or 2 year project to try these things like maybe it had been in years past.
Well, thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you so much.